Time for an update video on the Squarebody Chevy here. So if you're new, this is an 86. It's actually a GMC High Sierra that I'm doing a frame off on for my wife. So where we're at right now is I've got the firewall all painted. Inside the cab is all painted. The roof is painted. Dash is all painted up real nice. Kick panels. Since this is a High Sierra, it doesn't have all the body panels everywhere, and I'm not going to add them. I'm just going to leave everything painted because I think it looks cool. I got the sound matting on there. One of the things that one of my subscribers asked about was this roof seam, because I did a video a while back about replacing the roof, but I didn't mention that seam across the back, how to finish that, because I hadn't finished that part and I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do it yet. So this is for Mr. Ram Welding 1. He asked about this. So what I did initially is, obviously you drilled out and welded the spot welds inside the door jambs and then inside the front windshield jamb. And across the back here, there's a flat flange on the top and the bottom. So ideally, you'd get some 3M panel bond, that expensive stuff, and stick it in there and kind of slather it up, and then you'd glue these two halves together. So I ordered the 3M panel bond, and it took a while to get here. And in the meantime, I got impatient and I figured, well, I need to find a way to do this. And the 3M panel bond is really expensive. Between the gun, there's a special applicator gun that you need, and the material, it's like almost 200 bucks. So while I was waiting for that to get here in the mail, I decided, when it gets here, I'm just gonna send it back. I'm not paying 200 bucks just to do one seam. So what I did is I put a few spot welds across the back of here. And I had to do that because when I put the roof on and I welded it in place in all the other areas, I had a pretty good gap here, maybe a 1/2 inch gap all the way across. So I put clamps on this to clamp this down. And then I just put some tack welds on the outside here to hold it. Not very many, probably 6 or 8 tack welds across it. And then I put seam sealer in there and I figured that'll be good enough. Well, then I got a little OCD and I decided I don't think 6 or 8 tack welds is going to be enough. So I put a bunch more in, just in between that gap, all along here. I just tack welded up all the way through. And then I put the Duraglass in here. It's like fiber reinforced Bondo. Just shoved it in that seam as far in as I could get it and ground it pretty flat. So my idea here is, I think I'm going to put some epoxy primer over this whole thing. And then I'm going to try and put a real nice bead of seam sealer across that, as flat as I can get it. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to keep this stock looking seam. It's got a seam here on the side, on both sides, and a seam across the back. It's probably not going to come out perfect, but this truck is lifted. It's so high off the ground. And, you know, from a few feet away, at least that seam is there. I've seen other videos where they weld that whole seam shut all the way across and Bondo over it. And I don't like that look. If there's supposed to be a factory seam there, I want there to be a factory seam there. I just want it to look as factory as possible. So I think once that's seam sealed over and primed and painted, I think it'll look fine. In retrospect, if I had to do it over again, I probably wouldn't have done that method. I probably would have just used the 3M panel bond. There it is. I still have it. Haven't even opened the box. It came in the mail and I tried to send it back and Amazon refused. They said that it can't be returned due to some sort of hazardous materials rule or something. And I thought, what? He sent it to me. It wasn't hazardous when he sent it to me, but now it's hazardous when I'm trying to send it back. So I went and looked on the description, and sure enough, there in the fine print, it says it's not returnable. So I'm stuck with a $200 bottle of seam sealer, or not seam sealer, panel bond that I could have used up here, and that would have solved this whole problem. So live and learn. Next, I got all this stuff from Off-Road Design to do the crossover steering. Here's the main crossover steering bar. I painted it yesterday, so I'm going to be taking all this apart and doing the crossover steering. And I painted the frame black again, so that's pretty much all finished and nice now. New motor mounts, new bushings in here. These frame bushings, the heavy duty ones. But I need to get this box off of there, and I'll probably put the red head box on and then get all this crossover steering stuff done. So that's coming up. Oh, I can't forget the steering column. I completely rebuilt this steering column. Every nut and bolt. I took this, completely disassembled it, figured out what was wrong with it, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong inside these steering columns that make them loose and wobbly. It's more than what you think, more than what most YouTube videos show. So I show every detail about how to fix this the right way. There's 2 bearings and a ball joint in here. All 3 of them need to be addressed. So I'll make a whole video on that coming up soon. Posting motor videos of building this 454 for it. So pretty soon I'm going to put that in the truck, and I've got an empty 4L80 case here with nothing in it. And so my plan is, since I have another 4L80 in the back that I'm going to rebuild, I'm going to put this empty case bolted to that motor, take one of my transfer cases here. That's a 208 transfer case. I'm going to rebuild. I have 2 cores. I'm going to rebuild one of them. So I'll bolt all that stuff together, get it in the truck, and then I need to make a transmission cross member for it because this truck came without one. So I need to get that all bolted in there, get it leveled, and then I can make a transmission cross member. So I'll do a video on that too. My oil pan video the other day, I was showing these fittings for running an oil cooler, and the pressure line is an O-ring fitting. So this is what the stock line looks like with the O-ring. But I want to run this to a oil cooler that's got -10 AN fittings. So how do I adapt this steel O-ring line to a -10 AN fitting? Well, this hose came like this. So I cut this off. So this part is just a throwaway. So I'm left with this. So this is the O-ring side. And on this side, they make these cool compression fittings. Put this part on, and you put this little collar on, which is a super tight fit. Just barely fits on there. There we go. See how tight that is? And it's copper. It's a soft material, or maybe brass. But when I tighten this down, it's going to squish that against this tube really tightly. I'll do this with one hand. So that part goes on the end. This part goes in there. And then you take this and tighten it all up. And it's going to smash that little brass piece down real tight and make a seal against this. So now I've got a tube that's O-ring fitting on one side, and this is a -8 because this is a 1/2-inch tube. So then I also got a little adapter here to adapt that to -10. So now all I have to do is screw this on. Okay, with it all screwed together, looks like that. So now I can run a -10 line from there out to my oil cooler, and then another -10 line back to the return, which is already a -10 here. Cool. So that's it. Just a quick status update for tonight. I posted another video earlier about the valve train on the 454. That's all done. So mostly I just wanted to do a quick update video because I promised an answer on this roof line. So hopefully you got the answer on that. And I'll keep these videos coming if you guys keep watching them. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one. It's your Viking mechanic. Till next time.